Hola mi gente, espero que no están viendo eso el domingo. I hope you're not watching this on Sunday, but you probably are. That's okay. Okay. Bueno, que hoy vamos a aprender otra estructura de verbos. All right. So other verb structure. So I know you guys throughout last semester and this semester, you guys learned how to talk about a lot of different things in present and in past tense, right? So in past, right now, you could talk about one and done events. You could talk about things that have happened over an unknown period of time in the past that are now not the case. But right now, you're going to learn another structure just to add to what things you're capable of describing and talking about, okay? So let me give you some examples of this structure we're going to learn today. So if I say something like, I've lived in Billings since 2016, or I say, my students have worked very hard this year. My students have worked very hard this year. And I've lived in Billings since 2016. Am I talking about the present, the past, or both, like a connection of the two? All right. And what about these ideas? Are these about the past or the present or both? So what if I say, I've driven to California, but I haven't driven to Wyoming? Or what if I say, have you gone to the Sassy Biscuit yet? My boyfriend's coworker is one of the owners. You should go. But yes. All right, so in English, we call this the present perfect. So with those first examples we saw, right, I've lived in Billings since 2016, we have this idea of something that started in the past and continues to be happening in the present, yeah? Or with the case of I've driven to California, right, just a way to talk about our past experiences that were significant somehow, yeah? Easy enough. So with the experiences, right, that seems pretty easy, right? So I can say, like, here is my collection of experiences, yeah? So I can say, I've been to South America. I've taught in South Korea. I've seen all of Game of Thrones, right? And these are all part of my experience, right? So if I'm playing that game, never have I ever, right? They'll get me for these experiences that I've been to South America, right? But what the heck did I mean about that? Like, things that started in the past continue to be happening in the present? Okay, let's look. Okay, I've lived in Billings since 2016. Okay, so let's think. When I started living in Billings, when was it? Okay, 2016, right? Do I still live in Billings? Yes, right? But do we know for how long this is going to be happening? Well, as of now, right now. No, so we'll use present perfect for that kind of structure, okay? So let's check out a translation of those sentences that we saw at the beginning of the video, yeah? Is the structure the same? I've lived in Billings since 2016. We would translate that to He vivido en Billings desde 2016. Okay, what about this one? My students have worked very hard this year. I could say, mis estudiantes han trabajado muy duro este año. Okay, so pause the video and take a look at these sentences in Spanish. Is the word order the same as it would be in English? And is anything else in there that looks similar? What about, like, the letters? Look at the letters. Okay. Cool. Cool, so the word order is the same, yay! Okay, and the little word that replaces have, right, starts with an H, which is good, and the ending that we use to make, like, the ED ending, right, like I've lived, I've traveled, right, has a D in it. Cool? All right. But I guess the one thing that changes, right, is that we can't contract it like we do in English, right? So in English, instead of I have lived, right, I'd say I've lived, but we can't contract that way in Spanish. Cool. So what else is new? Well, you guys are going to need to know how to do two things. So first, you need the word that means have or has in the situation of like, I have lived in Billings or I have worked at MSUB, blah, 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 right? So you're going to need some of these guys, right? So if I want to say, right, so I have lived, right, yo he ido, right? And so on, right? So have you lived, has vivido, right? And so on with all these different subjects, yeah? So think about, so they have lived, like, han vivido. Cool? So first you need one of these guys. Then you're going to need your equivalent of your ed word. So that's like your I've lived, my students have worked very hard, right? So how did those main verbs change to make themselves into this lived and worked type participle? So take a look. Take a look at that structure one more time. Vivido, he vivido. Mis estudiantes han trabajado, right? What changed from vivir and trabajar? How did they change? Pause the video and think about it. You didn't pause the video. You're just waiting for the answer. Or maybe you did. Okay. So you'll notice the AR verb, right? Trabajar changed, took off the ending, right? It added ado, right? Trabajado. And then my IR verb, vivir, took off the ending. We added ido, vivido. Yeah? So the good news is ER and IR verbs both take that ido ending. Yeah? So remember I said ER and IR verbs are buddies in the past tenses. They always are going to share those endings, which makes it easier for us. Good. Cool. So yeah, if we think through some examples, right? So if I have the verb comer, right? Comido, right? Or if I have the verb averiguar, right? To find out, averiguado. My students have found out, han averiguado. Cool. Cool. Well, great. So you just learned how to change regular verbs in the present perfect, or I guess into the pretérito perfecto, as we call it in Spanish. So let's put it all together. Check out this example. So if we have Peter ha vivido en Billings desde 2016, right? What's the formula? How do we do this? Okay, so first we got the subject, optional. Depending on if we have like an understood subject, we probably don't need yo, we don't need tú, we don't need nosotros, right? Or if it's understood, we're already talking about a certain person, we don't need that subject, right? Okay, then we need the little as, all that, okay? Then we need a verb that's got an ado or an ido on the end of it. Or there are some irregular participles, but we'll talk about that later. So as of right now, just a verb that's got an ado or an ido on the end of it. And then if you're in one of those situations where you have an action that started in the past, continues to be true in the present, then you have this optional thing where you can talk about the point in time where that action started or the period of time for which that action's been going on, right? I've lived here since 2016, or I've lived here for almost 2 years, right? All right. So, okay, so I had that sentence, Peter ha vivido en Billings, right? So how would I say Peter hasn't lived in Bozeman, for example? Peter hasn't lived in Bozeman. Think about it. Pause the video if you need to. Bueno, okay, Peter no ha vivido en Bozeman, right? Great, so that just follows the same structure we've learned for other verb forms, right? So we got the subject, the negative, and then the verb string, yeah? Cool. How do you think I would ask it as a yes or no question? So if I want to say like, has Peter lived in Bozeman? has Peter lived in Bozeman? So remember, normally our questions take the same structure as our statements. So we can use that same formula we had from earlier. Think about it. Okay, yeah, Peter ha vivido en Bozeman? Yeah, perfecto. All right, well, good. So now you guys should have the tools that you'll need in order to complete the activities that are in the platform. The first part, you're just going to be translating some sentences. I should have included translations of words that are unfamiliar to you. If you don't know what the infinitive of something is, right, look it up on word reference. And then the second part, I just have you guys writing some questions that you would pose to another individual in class to find out about their experiences. I need you guys to complete this activity before 5 p.m. on Sunday so that I can basically conglomerate your questions and create an activity with them, all right? Cool. So that's it. Buen fin de.